Ready to explore something kind of different today.
I am. I always love a good deep dive.
Yeah, we're going to get into the whole thing with, you and your thoughts, that relationship.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, it's kind of big. So, we're looking at we're going to go deep into thumb versus thought today,
Okay, yeah.
which is really kind of cool. It's got this really cool way of looking at how to like deal with that negative self-talk that we all get sometimes.
Yeah, we all have those thoughts, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Just gotta, learn to manage them.
Exactly. And so by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a really good like tool to help you gain some of that mental clarity.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so the main point, the big idea here is actually pretty simple, but it's powerful. And they compare our thoughts to our thumbs.
I like that.
Yeah, right.
I remember when I first read that, I thought that was a clever analogy. And the source even uses this funny line, I am not a thumb, I just have one.
That's so good. It's so catchy, right?
Yeah.
And it does make you think like, what if we really did like think about our thoughts the same way we do our thumbs?
Yeah, I think it's really gets at this important point that, we're not our thoughts, we have thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we have thumbs, but they don't define who we are, like fundamentally.
Exactly. So like just because I have a thought,
Yeah.
even if it's like super negative
Yeah.
or super critical of myself, doesn't actually mean it's true.
Right.
You
It
know what I mean?
doesn't mean you have to believe it.
Exactly. It's just a thought, like passing through. I don't have to get hooked on it,
Right, exactly.
which is, this is where it gets kind of crazy because they said that we have like 60,000 thoughts every day.
Oh, yeah. The source mentioned that it was like 60,000 a day, something like
Like
that.
60,000.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, no wonder our minds feel so full all the time, you know?
Right. Like, if you think about that number, there's just no way that every single thought is like accurate or true or, an accurate reflection of yourself.
Right. And it's impossible to listen to every single one,
Yeah.
right? Like, it would just be too much.
Yeah, you'd be overwhelmed completely.
Totally. And so
Yeah.
that makes me think about, how does this whole thumb versus thought thing actually help us deal with those negative thoughts? Like, how do we put this into practice?
Well, I think of it like it's like watching cars go by on the highway,
Oh,
You see them, you acknowledge them, they're there, but you don't have to get in every single car and go for a ride.
I love that visual. That's so clear.
Yeah, so instead of getting like completely caught up in like what the thought is actually saying, you can just kind of observe it without judging it.
Observe it and let it go.
Yeah, exactly. And that creates a space between you, the observer, and the thought itself.
Yeah, I can see how that would be helpful.
And in that space, you can actually choose how you want to respond instead of just like reacting automatically to whatever thought pops up.
It's like having that extra second to think about it, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Instead of just
Yeah.
getting swept away.
Exactly. And it can really change your perspective. Instead of feeling like you're defined by these negative thoughts or overwhelmed by them, you start to see them more as like blips on the radar.
Right, like those little things you see on your rearview mirror.
Mhm.
They're not in your lane, so you don't need to swerve.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you can just kind of like keep going and they'll pass.
And I think that space and that detachment, it just makes those negative thoughts feel less intense, less personal.
So it's like taking away their power.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Take away their power. Yeah.
Fun.
And that leads to like a really important point.
Okay.
This idea of separating ourselves from our thoughts, it's not just for negative thoughts, it applies to other like difficult emotions too.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you're feeling, anxious or fearful or angry.
So instead of like being in it, I can separate myself from it.
Exactly. Instead of saying I am anxious, you could say I'm experiencing anxiety right now.
Oh, that's a good distinction.
Yeah, and I think by acknowledging that you're having the feeling rather than being the feeling, you're creating that same kind of space and perspective,
Mhm.
that can help you work through those emotions a little more effectively.
It's just a subtle change in how we talk about it.
Yeah.
But it can make a big difference.
Yeah, it can totally shift your whole experience.
And that is like, that's what I love about the whole thumb versus thought analogy. It's like this really simple tool that can have this huge impact on our mental well-being.
It's so simple, but so powerful.
Yeah. So next time you are feeling overwhelmed or just like, bombarded by those negative thoughts, just remember, you are not your thoughts.
That's it.
You just have them.
You just have them.
And you have the power to choose how you respond.
You have the power.
You don't have to just go along with them.
And that's such a freeing realization, isn't it?
It is. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, that little reminder will help you find a bit more peace and clarity in the midst of all those thoughts.
On that mental highway we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly, on that mental highway.
Awesome. Well, on that note, we'll leave you to ponder that.
Yeah, think about it.
Until next time, keep exploring.
See ya.
Bye.